All right, good afternoon. My name again is Zach Brackett, Z-A-C-H-B-R-A-C-K-E-T-T with Hall County Fire Services. I'm going to start this 3:30 briefing to say that the majority of the fire services personnel that were on the scene have been released. They have assisted with facilitating removal of all of the fatalities from the business, and are now the remaining personnel are supporting the sheriff's office in their investigation, along with OSHA and the state fire marshal's office. I'd like to clear up a few little rumors that we've seen out there. One, we do still have one fire service member from Hall County Fire who is hospitalized in stable condition for evaluation and monitoring for respiratory symptoms. We have had no fatalities associated with the fire service, both for Hall County Fire or Gainesville Fire. So I'd like to clear that up and make sure that gets out so that people understand that. We've got several folks to talk here, and that's really all the update I have from fire services. Yes, sir.
How many fatalities at this point?
Okay, so a total of 6 fatalities. There were 5 fatalities in the facility, 1 that was deceased at the hospital. So a total of 6. So
Did you get any gender breakdowns on that?
I do not have that information. So what I'm going to do now, we'll go to Sean Couch with Northeast Georgia Health Systems. Sean,
Sure.
and he can fill you in on that kind of stuff.
Sure. So don't have any gender breakdowns, but can give you a breakdown of the conditions. We've now up to 12 patients who've been transported to Northeast Georgia Medical Center, Gainesville. Out of those 12, 3 have already been treated and released. We do have the 1 that did die in our emergency department. We have 3 in critical condition, and we have 5 currently in fair condition.
What are the extent of the injuries?
Don't know much about the extent of the injuries beyond the conditions, but can say they're all respiratory in nature.
So no burns?
All respiratory at this point.
And when you say respiratory, what is the nature of the injuries that nitrogen can cause, or liquid nitrogen can cause, if that's what you're seeing?
It's a great question. Unfortunately, I'm not clinical. I wouldn't be able to speak to it. Another question we have heard quite a bit is just, given the high volume of COVID cases that we've had here in Gainesville and Hall County, hitting our record back on January 8th of 355 hospitalized patients, how has this impacted our staff's ability to handle this incident? Thankfully, from a timing perspective, we have started to see a slow decline in our COVID cases. This week, getting below 300 hospitalized per day. So that certainly helped in freeing up some bed space. Thankfully, it wasn't more significant than it was. Had it been, or had the timing been any earlier, it certainly would have strained already strained resources.
What can you tell us about the extent of the walking wounded and how you're treating them as they come out of the clinic?
Not much beyond the fact that just we're very thankful that our emergency department staff and some of our other clinical staff and physicians volunteered to go down and triage, which of course we're very thankful for.
So were those 2 more that have been transferred? Were those from the Free Chapel?
They were brought in via EMS. I'm not sure if they came specifically from Free Chapel or if they're from another location, but they were brought in via ambulance.
I've heard some concerns from some folks about people who might have not been screened, had a respiratory screening at Free Chapel. Should those people come to the hospital or find a medical professional to do that in future days?
Certainly, if anyone feels like they haven't received the adequate medical care, or if they've got any questions or concerns about their medical care, I'd encourage them to follow up with their physician. And of course, if you're ever having an emergency, immediately dial 911.
John, of those who are still in the hospital under treatment, just to be clear, are any of those firefighters or other first responders?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure if they are firefighters or not. Zach may have more information about that.
Are there any updates on the people that were transported to Free Chapel? Have they been allowed to go home, or are they still there?
As far as I know, as long as they've been triaged and checked out and they have the ability to move on their own, then they're able to at this point.
What should people be looking for in the coming days to alert them to go see a doctor?
That's a great question. Again, not being clinical, I'd be hesitant to speak to it. Again, just encouraging anyone, if they're experiencing any symptoms, to follow up with their primary care physician or their doctor, or to call 911 if they have any concerns about an emergency. All right. At this point, I'll turn it over to Derek Booth, Public Information Officer for Hall County Sheriff's Office. Thank you.
Yes, as Sean said, Derek Booth, D-E-R-R-E-C-K, last name Booth, B-O-O-T-H, Public Information Officer, Hall County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff's Office involvement in this situation presently is for the death investigation, the investigation of the individuals who are deceased. Also, as you heard mentioned by fire services, the OSHA is on the scene investigating as well, and the state fire marshal's office investigative unit. So they will primarily be looking into the cause of this. We're investigating it from a death investigation standpoint. I heard from our investigators on the scene that fire services had been able to get in the facility and deem it safe at about 1:40 this afternoon. And so our crime scene unit was able to get in and start processing the scene and working through it. And our investigators remain there now looking into the incident. I do understand that one of the victims who was deceased at the facility, we have made notification of next of kin, but right now we're not releasing the identities of any of the individuals who passed. One of the questions earlier was about Free Chapel. Our deputies were involved along with the Hall County School District and Gainesville School District with busing employees who are okay or needed to be checked out to Free Chapel Worship Center this morning. And it's my understanding this afternoon that Free Chapel is clear and that the employees have either left on their own or been allowed to board buses to come back to the facility to get their vehicles. So that's kind of where we stand right now as a sheriff's office. And Sheriff Gerald Couch is here with us this afternoon, and he'd like to make some additional remarks about the sadness of the situation today.
If you've notified one family, you can't give us that name?
Good afternoon. I'm Hall County Sheriff Gerald Couch, and our sheriff's investigators are currently working on trying to identify all the victims that lost their lives in this very tragic event today. From there they'll be notifying the families of these victims that perished. So I would definitely ask everyone to keep the families in your prayers. And a lot of these folks that came into work today did not have any idea of what would happen, nor did their families. They're not in a profession that you would expect something like this to happen. But here we are. So that's why I ask you for all your prayers and your thoughts. And as we move forward with this investigation, we'll be assisting all the agencies that Derek talked about, especially with OSHA, to determine what exactly happened that caused this.
Sheriff, how is it different for your investigators on a scene like this compared to other death investigations they may handle? Or is it?
Well, we always look for the cause of death and the cause of an accident, or it's different than a crime scene, of course, because we have these other agencies involved in looking at particularly the industrial aspect of it, of what could have happened. And right now, we certainly don't have any ideas on that. It'll take quite some time to determine that cause, but that's what we'll be doing.
Where the bodies were recovered inside the plant?
I cannot speak to that right at this moment. It's still investigation.
Many of the employees are from other countries. Are you finding difficulties locating family members to notify?
Not to my knowledge at this time.
Sheriff, can you give us any sort of timetable on when there may be more information released on the victims' identities or the results of the investigation?
I wish I could. The investigators are working very diligently, and we'll maybe be able to tell you that something a little bit later on, but we'll certainly send out a notification when we can get more information. And that's about all I have right now, other than, again, ask you for your prayers. Thank you.
Sorry, to your knowledge, do you know when the last time your department or the fire department has ever been called to this site?
I don't have that information right now. We have one other speaker this afternoon, and that would be Nicholas Ankrum, and he is with Foundation Food Group. We have been referring to this as the Prime Pack facility throughout today. It was previously Prime Pack. It is now Foundation Food Group, and the name change came this year. And so this is Nicholas Ankrum that would like to make a statement.
Thank you, sir. Could you spell your name for us, please?
Yes, it's Nicholas Ankrum. Last name is spelled A-N-C-R-U-M as in Mary.
And your first name is Nicholas?
That is correct.
Once again, your last name is again?
It's Ankrum, A-N as in Nancy, C-R-U-M as in Mary. First name is Nicholas. Again, Nicholas Ankrum, Vice President of HR for Foundation Food Group. At 10 a.m. today, a tragic accident occurred at Foundation Food Group's prepared foods facility in Gainesville, Georgia. Preliminary indications are that a nitrogen line ruptured inside the facility. While we wait for confirmation, we are very sad to say that 6 team members appear to have died, and others were transported to the hospital with very serious injuries. Some first responders were also exposed and treated. We were fortunate enough to immediately evacuate 130 team members to a safe location, and all who required care received treatment. Steps also were taken to protect everyone else in the surrounding area from exposure. Those lost today include maintenance, supervisory, and management team members. Every team member is equally important to us, and our hearts go out to their families and communities who have suffered such a devastating loss. The company has notified the appropriate authorities and is making every resource available for a thorough investigation. Foundation Food Group takes workplace safety very seriously and works constantly to adopt and implement the most effective safety programs available to the industry. Until this investigation is completed, we cannot say with confidence precisely how this accident occurred, and therefore we will be unable to answer questions until we know more. We ask you to please join your thoughts and prayers for these team members, their families, friends, and co-workers, to ours, as we all cope with this terrible loss today. Thank you. I was there. At this time, I do not. I have respect for friends and family members, colleagues, co-workers, people that I call my friends. We're not going to answer any further questions, just for the integrity of the investigation as well.
Can you describe what kind of products are made at this plant in terms of lay people can understand?
It is a poultry facility, so we make poultry products.
Do you make but this is like a par cooking facility, it's a further processing facility, right?
Correct.
And like chicken nuggets, chicken breasts, things like that for
correct.
Food service and restaurants?
Correct.
And then really quick, can you just talk to what the safety precautions are within that line to, help?
So again, to maintain the integrity of the investigation, we're going to hold all questions right now, and also out of respect out of our friends, family members, colleagues, and co-workers. Thank you.
130 employees at this plant?
Yes, 130.
16 fatalities?
Six team members.
6?
Yes, 6 team
When did
members.
Foundation Foods take over that plant?
January 1st of this year. Again, at this time, we're not going to answer questions until the investigation is fully complete. Thank you.
All right, so there was a question about our firefighter that's in the hospital. Just got updated from the hospital that he's doing well and should be going home tomorrow. Again, he's just there for evaluation overnight for respiratory symptoms. Another note is that fire services will be transitioning to a support role to the sheriff's office and the other investigations that are going on. So inquiries and things of that nature should be going to the sheriff's office. Okay. We don't have any more briefings planned for this evening, so we'll be communicating with you via email and with any follow-ups. Okay. Thank you very much.